Hello, I'm Ron Sheldon. I'm the Technical Department Manager here at Sound Off Signal. At Sound Off Signal, we pride ourselves on providing excellent customer service and technical support to our customers. The technical video you're about to watch, we hope you find it beneficial in the operation and use of our products. Should you have any questions, please phone us or email us. So let's get started. Today we're going to talk about the operation and setup of your UltraLITE light bar. The UltraLITE light bar comes with an instruction sheet that'll show you and explain to you how to wire it up and how to change some of the functions in that light bar, whether it be a warning or an arrow pattern, and how that is done. Right now in front of you, I've got three different UltraLITE light bars. I've got a 4-mod, an 8-mod, and a 12-mod light bar. We're going to start with the 4-mod. The 4-mod is a windshield setup. Actually, either a headliner or suction cups will be adhered to your windshield area. Comes with a cigarette plug. Now the cig plug, you plug that in, and I'm going to use just jumpers here to power it up. And it has a switch on it to turn it on. And another function that another item it does have, it has a button on the side of it. Now that button changes patterns or shuts the unit off. Okay? Now if I push the button, it's going to change patterns. Each time I do this, it changes patterns. If I push and hold it until it dims, it goes back a pattern. Each time I do that, it's going to go back a pattern. Each time I push it, it's going to go forward a pattern. And it pretty much walks through the warning patterns that this light has. If I press the button and hold it till the light goes off, the light is off. And if I cycle the switch, it still will not come on until I push the button on the side. Push the button on the side, it turns on and starts operating. And I can use the cig plug switch to turn it on and off with also. Very basic small unit for a windshield type of a mount. The next UltraLITE we have is an 8-mod UltraLITE. And this particular one is an 8-mod with warning tips. And it's a special part number that's ordered this way. You can get them with a solid full 8 mods or an 8-mod with warning tips. And it operates in this fashion here. You've got a multicolored wires here. Black goes to ground, red goes to 12 volts. Then you have 4 other wires. Your brown wires are typically your warning wire. Your blue and your green wires are your arrow directional wires. And your white is your pattern change. I'm going to apply my ground and my power. And I'm just going to do an arrow. Doing an arrow function in one direction. That's with the blue wire. I switch and put the green wire on. I go the opposite direction. My brown wire is my warning tips. When I have my warning tips on, if I want to change the pattern of the warning tips, I use my white wire and I touch it to 12 volts. Each time I do that, I change my warning tips. Now on this particular light bar, if we want to change the arrow direction, I'm going to connect all my wires together. If I want to change my pattern for my arrow, as you can see, every time I touch the white wire to 12 volts, I'm changing the arrow pattern. I remove all 3 of those wires, and I go back and I touch my blue. And as you notice, I've got the full bar utilized as an arrow, even my tips. That was accomplished by putting the brown, the green, and the blue wires together and applying 12 volts to them and bumping the white wire to 12 volts. If I go to my brown wire for my warning tips, that's now changed so that I have the entire bar as warning. Should I want to bring it back to the original setting and have it set up so that it is just the inside 6 mods are arrow. I take my green and my blue wire, put it to 12 volts, touch the white wire to 12 volts, and as you see now, I just have my 6 inner modules operating on arrow. I can touch it again to change patterns. I remove them, I reapply just one of my arrows, and it's going to operate the pattern in which I set. Now my warning is not going to be the full bar this time, it's going to be just the tips. So this bar can be changed from a full warning bar to a partial warning bar. This is the tips. A full arrow, we're utilizing all 8 modules, or a partial arrow, just utilizing the 6 inboards. And right there again, I can change my warning tips mode. So the instruction sheet will walk you through how to do that. Very simple and very easy to do. I'm going to go on to the 12 mod light bar. And like I mentioned before, this is ordered such that you have warning tips. Okay, it's in the part number and that's how you order it. It can be ordered solid 8. Set that off the side. Now we have a 12 mod UltraLITE. This particular bar does not have the tips or the tip warnings in it. Okay, this particular bar being a 12 mod, I can either get it in single tip warning or dual tip warnings. Either way, either utilizing 8 mods in the middle for arrow, or I can use 10 mods in the middle for arrow. But this particular bar was not set up that way. This is actually what we would classify as a warning bar. I'm going to connect power and ground. Power goes to the red wire. Ground goes to the black wire. And I'm just going to go through the functions. There's my arrow, utilizing, in this instance, I'm utilizing 10 of the modules. Arrow the other direction. And the full bar is warning. Now, I'm going to take the blue, the green, and the brown wires. I'm going to twist them together, and I'm going to apply them to 12 volts. And I'm going to take my white wire, and I'm going to bump it to 12 volts. Each time I do so, there we go, I switched. Now I have all 12 modules, and I can change the pattern. There we go, I'll leave it on that one. Now I remove all 3 of those wires, and I apply 12 volts only to my blue wire. And as you can see, I'm utilizing all 12 modules of this bar for arrow. If I happen to, at this point, connect the brown wire to 12 volts, which is my warning, I'm going to have a warning pattern on the entire bar. I take my white wire, I touch that to 12 volts, I'm going to change the warning pattern on all 12. In that fashion there. Remembering that I am still on the entire bar for arrow. Now, we can also have this entire bar be warning and have multiple warning patterns. I can take my blue wire and I'll touch that to 12 volts, and I touch, all I need to do is either my blue or my green wire, apply 12 volts to it, bump the white wire to 12 volts, and now I've turned this bar into a warning bar utilizing that arrow input. Each time I touch it, I'm going to have a warning pattern on the whole bar. Now what I can do with that is I can wind up having different patterns for each one of these warning inputs also. Okay, just change that one. It goes back to that. And my brown wire is also warning. Pushing my white wire to 12 volts. Let me get a different pattern on here. We'll use that one. My blue still has that pattern. My brown has that new pattern, and which allows you to have multiple warning patterns with this bar. It all depends on how you want to configure the bar. There's a lot of different ways of doing so, and it depends on your application and what you want your bar to look like when you apply 12 volts to one of the inputs. This is kind of the kit car. But as you can see, I go back to my blue wire, I have that flash pattern. I go to my brown wire, I have that one. I go back to my green wire, I have that one. So it allows you to have 3 different warning patterns in the same bar. All depends on how you want to hook it up. I can also set this back to operate only arrow. And we can do that very easily by taking all 3 of these wires, putting them back to 12 volts, touching the white wire to 12 volts, and I can toggle around and set up an arrow pattern. Now I took my blue wire, touch it to 12 volts, and I have an arrow pattern again. So it's a versatile bar. It allows you a lot of versatility in setup and application, depending upon your application, whether you want arrow, whether you want warning, whether you want several warning patterns. This bar can do it for you. Should you have any questions on setting it up, operating it, proper connections, please feel free to contact the technical service department at Sound Off Signal, and a technician there will be more than happy to help you. Thank you very much.